Hey everyone, this is Caesar from GamerGraphics.com, and today I'm going to show you one of the basic features of the shell command in Pro Engineer Wildfire 4. I got a request on how I would quickly make the case for something like a BlackBerry. So what I would do is I would create a new part, and I would call it bottom case, and I'm going to use my shell command to get me started. So basically, I'm going to first thing I do is I create a protrusion, because you got to have a shape to shell. And I'm just going to make it, make it rather quickly. So I'll make that one 25. Use my constraints to equal. I'm going to make this one 35. Okay, I'm almost there. Okay, so I've got my initial shape. I've got it all constrained, how I would constrain it. Everybody has their own, I guess, method of mayhem. But this is typically how I do it. I do a lot of equals, so with geometric constraints. So now that I'm done with my initial shape, I'm going to make it 10 tall. And I'm going to radius the bottom. I think it's set to 5. And that's pretty much the bottom part of my case right there, except I need to shell it. Instead of putting, I've seen people do some weird things over the years where instead of adding the round to the bottom, they have this shape here, right? So what they'll do is they'll come in and make a sketch on this face, and they'll come in and they'll subtract away another shape, and then they'll edge blend the inside and outside, and you can certainly do that, but to save yourself the headache, you could use the shell tool. And now this 2.0 thick is offset thickness from your edge of your part. Okay, now if I rotate this around, you can clearly see that it's just shelling the inside of this case. In order to see into the case, you need to hold Control, select the face you want to disappear. So I'm selecting my top face, I hit OK, and now you can see into the part. Okay, I have a wall thickness of 2.0. I have my blend radius of 5. It continues on. When you shell it, it automatically generates the radius for the inside. If you change the radius out here, it changes the radius inside. So it's a quicker, faster way to use to create a shelled part, or to create a part, than creating multiple features. Like, I only have 3 features in this part. It's pretty much done, except for bosses for screws or snaps, or however I want to do that. So I'm going to save this part. We're going to make the top part of the case. So I'm going to save a copy of this, and I'm going to call it top case. And I'm going to open that up. Now the only thing I have to do here is create a window, which isn't too difficult. I'm going to use curves to do that. And to show you guys so it's easier for you to see, I'm going to turn my shading to no hidden so you can see the edges. Let me rotate this around so you can see how I'm going to select it. I'm selecting the face, okay? The top, the bottom of the actual face here, and I'm going to use this command right here called use create entity from edge. Okay, and I'm basically just going to go around my part and select where my radius is tangent with my bottom of my part. Okay, that's all I did. I didn't have to create any geometry. It's now locked to that part. So if the part changes and gets wider or taller, the cut moves with it. It's a disadvantage and an advantage as long as you know what you're doing from a design standpoint. So I'm going to exit out, reshade this, make my arrow go the other way. I'm going to do through all, and I'm going to remove material and hit OK. So now my little cap is pretty much almost done. The only issue I have with my cap is that I don't think the cap is going to be 10 millimeters or 10 millimeters tall. So because this is a separate part, I'm going to hit 5, hit regenerate, and now this looks more like what the cap would look like from this little silver part right here. So I'm going to change the color of this view, just make it yellow. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to create a new part, new assembly I should say. Phone. Okay, so one of my pet peeves as being a designer for 10 years is planes. I have a major issue with people who don't hide their planes and use their layers. It's just a pet peeve, but I've seen assemblies blow up from people mating to planes as opposed to, mating to planes from parts as opposed to planes from an assembly. So if you don't need these planes, which I don't because this will be my first part, switch to your layers, make sure you save status, and get rid of your planes for that part. I do not need them for my base part because it's going to go in at default. So when I go into my assembly and I bring in my first part, it's going to be the bottom case. Now all my planes are hidden, remember? But because I'm putting it in at default location, it centers it. So now you can see the only planes that are visible are the assembly planes, which is all I want to see anyways. Otherwise, your front, top, and right from the bottom of the case are going to be overlaid on the assembly top, front, and right. So it saves confusion down the road if you kind of start doing things in an orderly fashion from the start. It's just little things like that as you'll go on down the road that you'll start to notice that you would like people to start doing when you have to work on their models. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just mating my planes. I'm going to flip this. Okay, now we're done. That's the rim of the case. That's the bottom of the case. The next thing I would start doing, it would be a panel for the plastic panel for the buttons, and then an LED screen. But this would get me started. And like I said, my top case has its planes showing. I don't need them anymore. So I go into that part, I hide them, I right click and hit save status. Those are gone. Close. Now the only planes you see are your assembly planes. Any other planes I'm going to use to mate parts are going to use I'm going to use my assembly planes. So in the future, that's just advice I would give to a new designer. I hope this tutorial was useful to you. If you would like me to finish this cell phone, you can rate, leave some feedback, and I will surely do that. But this was a simple tutorial to show you how to use the shell function and how much easier it can be than creating multiple features to get the same result. Hope you enjoyed this. This is Caesar from GamerGraphics.com, and I'll talk to you soon.